All right, time for another deep dive, and this one's all about web design.
But before you click away thinking, nah, that's not my thing, trust me on this one. We're not getting all techie and geeky with code.
This is about how web design affects your business.
You got it.
Whether you're a tech whiz or you think HTML is something you order at a deli,
This matters.
it really does.
We've got a killer article for you today all about, well, the stats behind it all. Top web design statistics every business owner must know. Catchy, right?
And the big takeaway is that good web design, it's not just a nice to have anymore, it's make or break for businesses these days.
Couldn't agree more. The online world is, well, it's not slowing down anytime soon.
That's for sure. And speaking of speed, one stat from this article really made me think twice. Get this, you've got like milliseconds to make a good first impression online. Milliseconds. Yeah, 50 to be precise. Which is what, like a blink of an eye? Less than that even.
Crazy, right?
It's wild, isn't it? In those 50 milliseconds, someone landed on your website, they've already kind of decided if they're going to stick around or not.
Talk about pressure. But seriously, what's going on in our brains in that split second? It can't be just about how pretty the website is.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's almost like, well, think about walking into a store, a physical one. You get a vibe instantly, right?
Yeah, totally.
Is it welcoming,
Yeah.
clean, organized? You trust it? Our brains, they do the same thing online. But it's like sped up times 10.
So you're saying our websites need to be like the online equivalent of a well-lit, organized, inviting store. Got to nail that first impression.
Exactly. That first impression, it can be the difference between someone becoming a loyal customer or bouncing right over to your competition.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that.
And a big part of that good first impression, I'm guessing, is how easy the website is to use, right? Like, how do I find that thing I'm looking for? Where's the menu? Stuff like that.
You're talking about UX, right? User experience.
Yeah, UX, that's the word.
Exactly. UX is all about, well, it's how enjoyable it is to actually use the website. Can people find what they need? Is it, intuitive? Does it feel, I don't know, smooth? Not frustrating.
Yeah, I get it. But honestly, we've all been on those sites where you're like clicking everywhere, about to rage quit because you just want to find the opening hours or something.
Oh, tell me about it. And this article does not let you forget the consequences of bad UX. Like, get this, 88% of users, they're gone. They won't come back to a website after a bad experience, 88%.
Well, yeah, if I had a terrible time on a site, I wouldn't be rushing back either. I'd probably go straight to their competitor.
Exactly. And it's not even just about, oh, you lost that one customer. It can actually hurt how people see your whole brand. The article says 75%, whopping 75% of users judge if a company's legit or not just by looking at their website. Design alone.
Wow. So if my website looks like it was made in the 90s, people are going to think my products are stuck in the past too.
It's that subconscious link we were talking about earlier. A bad website makes you look, well, untrustworthy maybe.
Amateur.
Like you don't care enough to put in the effort.
But a good one shows you're on top of things.
Precisely. It builds that trust, that credibility. It says you care about how people experience your brand, even if it's just through their phone screen.
And speaking of phones, isn't that how most people are browsing these days? Scrolling on their mobiles?
Absolutely. This article, it actually broke down the stats for Australia specifically. Over 80% of internet users here, they're on mobile.
That's a lot of thumbs.
It is. And globally, it's over 55% of all website traffic. So if you're still clinging to that desktop-only design,
You're missing out big time.
big time, which is where, drum roll please, responsive design comes in. Your website has to look just as amazing on a tiny screen as it does on a massive monitor.
So it's not just like shrinking everything down to fit.
Nope. Got to rethink the whole experience. How do you use your phone when you're browsing?
One hand, scrolling, probably distracted, zero patience.
Exactly. Responsive design takes all that into account.
Okay, so responsive design sounds important, sounds maybe a little daunting, but it's got to be worth it, right? Especially with how many people are on their phones.
100%. And the good news is, it's not as hard as it used to be. There are so many tools now that make it, well, if not easy, then definitely easier.
That's good to know. So we've covered first impressions, making sure our site works on every device. But what about this? I get to a site, it looks amazing, but then it takes forever to load. I'm out of there. Like, I'm talking 3 seconds max. If it's not loading by then, I'm hitting that back button faster than you can say website.
You preach into the choir. And you know what? The article, it actually put some hard numbers on this whole impatience thing. Get this, 53% of mobile users, they're gone if a website takes more than 3 seconds to load.
53%. So it's not just me, but Okay, those are just random people on the internet, right? Does a slow website actually hurt a business's bottom line?
Oh, absolutely. Big time. We're talking about retailers losing, get this, $2.6 billion every single year just because their websites are slow.
Wow. Okay, so speed matters, but what can you actually do about it? Asking for a friend who may or may not have a website that could use a bit of a speed boost.
Well, good news for your friend. You don't need to be some kind of tech genius to make a difference. Some simple things can make a huge difference. Like, was a good example.
Oh.
Images.
Images.
Yeah, think smaller file sizes. That can really speed things up. And a good hosting provider, that's essential. Don't skimp on that. Then there's the more techie stuff, caching, content delivery networks, that sort of thing.
Sounds complicated.
It can be, but it's worth looking into if speed is a major issue.
Noted. Okay, last but definitely not least, the article talks about visuals. And I mean, I love a pretty website as much as the next person, but I never really thought about how images and stuff affect, actual business.
Oh, it's huge. We're visual creatures, right? Like, we're hardwired to be drawn to images. We process them way faster than text. In fact, the article says content with images gets a whopping 94% more views.
94%. So yeah, a picture really is worth 1,000 words, huh? But what makes a good visual online? Just throwing any old image up there probably won't do much.
Definitely not.
Yep.
It's got to be strategic. You want high-quality stuff, obviously, and it has to be relevant to your content. Enhance the message, not distract from it.
So like, what kind of visuals are we talking about?
Oh, all sorts. Custom photography, that's always a winner. Shows off your brand's personality. Videos. People love videos these days. And then there are infographics, which are great for, like, simplifying complex information.
Make it easy on the eyes.
Exactly. And you know what? The article says that using visuals in a smart way can boost conversion rates by up to 40%. That's huge.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, so let's wrap this up. We've learned a ton today. User experience, mobile-first design, site speed, visuals. It's a lot to think about,
Right.
but it's all connected to having a successful website.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And for our Aussie listeners, don't forget those extra considerations we talked about earlier. Accessibility and local SEO, got to make sure you're catering to your audience down under.
So important. And on that note, a huge thank you to you for joining me on this deep dive today. It's certainly made me look at web design in a whole new light.
It's been my pleasure.
And for all you listeners, remember, a well-designed website, it's not an expense, it's an investment. An investment in attracting customers and, just as importantly, keeping them coming back for more. Now, as you head back to your regularly scheduled browsing, here's something to ponder. We talked a lot about attracting customers through good design, but what about keeping those customers engaged? How can your website design help you build loyalty and keep people coming back for more? Something to think about. And hey, if you're keen to dive deeper into any of these topics, UX, SEO, you name it, hit us up. We love a good deep dive. Until next time, happy browsing.